For joining us for WNY News Now special coverage from the scene of a massive fire early this morning in the town of Busti along Chautauqua Lake. We're joined by Lakewood Fire Chief Kirk Hallberg this morning, who has been busy with his crews working to extinguish the flames and now working to contain the scene here. Chief, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
What can you tell us that your crews responded to overnight, and what do we see behind us here?
When my first assistant chief, Steve Smouse, arrived, the house directly behind me was totally involved, and that has burned completely to the ground. There was another one that was attached by a breezeway to that one, and that's a total loss as well. And then we have 7 more properties that were affected by melted siding clear across the canal here, and embers falling on them. And there's 7 properties that are involved, but not heavily damaged. But people are still assessing it as the sun comes up this morning.
And I know one of the big things we always look at when we see big fires, especially overnight, is if anyone was injured or unable to get out of the house. You mentioned earlier that one firefighter did suffer from dehydration. They were taken to UPMC Chautauqua Hospital, but as for the residents of these homes, were they able to get out okay?
Yes, one firefighter was transported. There was 2 people that were in the house that's a total loss here behind me, and they happened to have the windows open because of the warm temperatures, and they heard the crackling and saw the glow, and they were able to self-extricate from the house, which was fortunate that it was warm last night.
Yeah, certainly. Do you know if anyone was in the house that was absolutely destroyed by fire to the right of us?
There was no one there. They were somewhere in the Buffalo area last night.
But 2 residents in the immediate structure next door were able to get out. With this warmth that we have, people opening their windows, and it makes you more self-aware about what's going outside. You know, you hear the birds chirping, cars going by. You think that played a factor in them getting out safely?
I'm sure it did, yes.
So as for the extent of the fire, we had some impressive viewer images sent to us today that show how powerful this was. Can you describe what your crews saw when they arrived early this morning?
It was just total involvement with the one house. They pretty much wrote that off to begin with, and we were just trying to protect exposures. The hard part of it was a lot of the exposures were across the canal, so you couldn't just advance a hose line across there. If they had ignited over there, we'd have had to have whole separate arrangements on the other side, whole operations on the other side.
I know that this area directly on the lake does have these canals and some small access roads. That the roads seem very tight. It seems like you can only really get one truck down at a time. Was that a factor in trying to get resources here?
It is difficult. We did all right. We got our attack engine all the way down, and our water supply engine. We had to lay water supply for most of the distance of Keller Road. But we had a lot of mutual aid. We really appreciate that from as far away as Clymer and Sherman, Asheville, Busti, Celeron. We had it from all over. Plus Panama and Bemis Point standing by at our station. And so it really drained the resources for a while, but everybody pitched in and did a great job of saving what they could.
Do you know what time specifically the call came in for the blaze?
It was a little after 2. I don't know the exact minute.
And that would have been from someone here calling 911?
The people actually that were in the house that escaped were the ones that called it in.
And then the response effort, do you have an estimate of how many departments in total responded?
7 or 8 probably, yeah.
And I imagine that camaraderie of getting that backup, because when you're fighting something like this, and you know more better than I, but imagine that takes a lot out of you. You mentioned that a firefighter was dehydrated because of how much gear you have on to battle this.
Yeah, that is a factor, and Kindtone was here with their rehab trailer and made sure that these guys were getting hydrated, but it's hard to stop when you're in the middle of it. The adrenaline gets going, but they did a really good job.
So the fire extending, and with the embers beyond this, is that what you think caused some of these other houses? We see siding gone. to the right of us?
Yeah, the siding, mostly it's from the heat, but we did have embers hit one shed that was made out of wood, and there was a homeowner on the other side that was actually hitting some of the property with a garden hose, and we told him, just keep going, you're doing great. So he helped us a lot too.
And now for the next stage of it, I see the Chautauqua County Fire Investigation Team is here. Do you know what their role will be now that you're done with the immediate fire?
They're just trying to determine, if they can, any cause, what started it. Obviously, it was in the original structure somewhere. It's difficult when there's that much damage, but they're very good at trying to determine what it is. Insurance companies are involved now and everything, so it's a long process, and hopefully these people are covered and be able to go on with their lives.
Just for people, if they're just joining us here on the live stream, we have 2 homes that were destroyed, one completely, another deemed a total loss, and several others impacted by a blaze overnight in Asheville. And this is a town of Bustye, I believe, specifically, but really close to the Asheville Marina. Is that right?
Yeah, it's just up from Smith Boys Marina, and it's kind of between Viewcoat Road and Lakeside Drive. It's in the Lakewood Fire District. It's an Asheville mailing address. It's in the town of Bustye. So there's different municipalities that are involved, but everybody has contributed and done a great job.
A lot of moving parts. Chief, thank you so much for your time and for speaking to me today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. We'll pan over to kind of show some of the extent of what the damage was. But you see, right here is where the home that was completely leveled by the blaze overnight, and then a home to the left of that, which crews are deeming a total loss here on Keller Road in the town of Bustye, just near the Asheville Bay Marina. The chief of the Lakewood Fire Department tells us that there were 2 people inside of the home at the time, the adjacent home. They were able to hear embers cracking from outside, and that's what prompted them to investigate what was going on. They noticed a fire in the home next to them. That eventually completely engulfed. Fire crews called in. And as the chief explained to us here just a moment ago on the live stream, this canal that runs through this neighborhood made it difficult for them to try to contain the blaze. And as you can see off in the distance, several other structures are considered to be impacted, as you see siding off of that house, and then here right in front of us, this structure also damaged. And the chief said there was even a shed, which we see here, that suffered a little bit of fire with a homeowner. It looks like you actually see some of that hose still in the yard, was out trying to contain the blaze from spreading to his house. So just a massive fire here, leveling one home. The second deemed a total loss, several others impacted. Lots of fire crews out here, including Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell, who is a brave volunteer firefighter, and we thank him and the many other of these brave men and women for their service. We'll, of course, continue to update this story as we learn more at WNYNewsNow.com and on our mobile app. Download it free in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Subscribe to breaking news push notifications will keep you in the know. But again, if you're just joining us, here's the fast facts that we know. Just after 2 a.m., fire crews responding to a fully engulfed blaze that will eventually level one home here on Keller Road in the town of Bustye, very near to the Asheville Bay Marina. Canals along this neighborhood making it difficult for crews to battle the blaze, extending some of the flames, the embers flying, the amount of heat that was coming off of this causing siding to melt. One homeowner across the canal using a hose, the chief tells us, to contain his and keep his house protected. In the end, one home leveled, another deemed a total loss. Only injury to a firefighter who they consider to be dehydrated. They're expected to be okay. Reporting live Justin Gould, WNY News Now.